Yeah, I thought I'd give you a quick update on Thomas Kithier since that's kind of where we are right now. First of all, he's tested negative the last 2 days, so that's a positive. Um, Somebody told me that the new motto for coaches should be, think positive, test negative, and that would probably be a good way to look at it. But since Friday, he's had a PCR test Friday. He's had an antigen test Friday. Saturday morning, he had an antigen test. Sunday morning, he had an antigen and PCR test. Yesterday, we kept him out of practice so he could get another PCR test, even though the one was negative before, because, these tests, there's false negatives and false positives, and we weren't going to take any chances. So if you go back, that's 3 PCR tests and 4 antigen tests in 4 days. And the sad part is the kid sat there since Saturday night thinking he was probably positive, and he's just been a tough slate for him, but it is what it is. And the good news is, as of right now at 12 o'clock, he is going to practice today. As far as the last game, wasn't the prettiest game, but it was when you have fouls were 25-4 at 5 at one time, or free throws. There's a lot of stoppage in the game. I thought we played better at times. Thought we shot better at times. It seems like there's always something. Our defense was pretty good. It was the 22 turnovers that needed to be correct. And yet the road gets tougher now. But I think it's a great time of year for the road to get tougher for us. Penn State, team that had it, they were the other team that had the COVID, but it was a lot earlier. And they've rebounded pretty nicely now. They've won 4 of their last 6. They got beat damn near at the buzzer at Ohio State. It was a very close game. They have very, very good guard play, and they come at you in waves. They've got a lot of guards. But I think the kid Herrera, the big, strong kid that has just kind of gotten better each and every year, is kind of the glue to that team. And I say that because they have 2 players on a team that play their roles to the T. A kid named Wheeler, the point guard, who's just great defensively, runs their team, and the big guy Herrera, who's kind of my Draymond Green. He just sets screens at different angles. He's averaging 4 offensive rebounds a game, which is really a lot of offensive rebounds a game. Their guard play is still their strength of their scoring. They do attack the offensive glass. They're leading the Big Ten in offensive rebounds. A lot of that is Herrera himself, but they have a couple other guys that are very good. They're getting nearly 13 offensive rebounds a game, which is a ton. And defensively, they rank second in the league in steals. I'd say their best offense at times is transition because of steals. So they turn you over and they go down the other end. So we're going to run into a team that does turn you over, coming off our worst turnover game. And I think that might be good for us because I think there'll be focus on it. There's been attention to it in practice, the little we've practiced, and hopefully we'll get something out of it. So I'm looking forward to this week. We've got 2 home games. We went a long time without playing one, as you know, and 2 very good teams. And we are taking it one day at a time, and the one day at a time is Penn State. So questions, I'll take them.
First question is from Matt Charbonneau. Yeah, Tom, real quick on Thomas. I assume was negative, but is he feeling okay?
Yeah, good point. He had a virus, and we just assume every virus is the coronavirus. But, probably like you had the flu, or I have, or you had an upset stomach, or I did, or you had a headache and I did. Yesterday, he was feeling a little weak, but better. And talked to him this morning. He's feeling a lot better. What that does now, who knows? He didn't, of course, practice or anything and didn't do anything. But on Sunday and, so Monday today, hopefully he'll get a little bit of practice time in.
And with Penn State coming up, obviously you mentioned their defense. They turn you over a lot. Not exactly a great thing for you guys at times this year.
Well, it's happened one or two other times, and we've been under 10 turnovers. We've been very sporadic in that respect, and I think that's because of playing so many guys and not being set on lineups, all the things that frustrate you, probably our fans, and me. But on the other side of it, you go through that last game, and there's turnovers that are created, and there's turnovers that are self-inflicted. We had a lot of self-inflicted turnovers, which are more controllable. Turnovers that are created, some teams just do a great job of that. They do press a little bit, but it's more of a pester press. It's more just in the half court, and Wheeler's a big part of the turnovers because he's so aggressive. And, he was that way last year against us. So, Cash has struggled with that. So, we have some things in mind and how to handle that and see if we can execute them.
Hey, Tom, I know winning is the expectation as the coach, but I'm just curious, after the recent win, did you see a pep in the step with the guys? Is there a change in behavior? Was it something noticeable, or was it quote-unquote business as usual response?
I honestly think you felt better, but it's so hard to judge it, Lindsey, because we came off that COVID, for 20 days and then had those 3 games so quickly. So it was hard to get an adjustment. But, guys aren't excited because we got to win excited, but they're excited because we got to win, and I know that sounds like a double-edged sword, but I really believe that. I think they're excited about that, excited to try to get a little streak going, excited to be at home. There are a lot of things that I think they are excited about, and yet, in general, I think part of this team's problem is we aren't excited about enough things. We don't have those kind of personalities all the time. But what you had there that makes it exciting is you got Josh that, really started to look like he was looking before he got it. He was very efficient other than getting in foul trouble, but everybody was in foul trouble. I thought he was efficient. I think he was 7 or 8 for 12. I think he took even better shots. I think his defense was great. He had 5 rebounds. Aaron was pretty solid. We're going to find a way to get Joey going, and if we can get Joey going, and Rocket had a great day yesterday, so we're just going to keep battling it. Sooner or later, we're going to get a team that we shoot well together. We don't turn the ball over. We're rebounding better right now. We are making some baby steps, but they're steps, and you look at Nebraska, and as I told Fred after the game, they came back and played pretty good, but, it's the second and third game like Villanova went through after. You never know which games it's going to hit you in, but it's not easy for them either, and I thought they did a pretty good job.
Great, thanks for that.
Up next, question from Chris Solari.
Hey, Tom. Kind of focusing on the ball movement, but kind of in general, it seems like there are points where you guys still have the flow of moving the ball around the perimeter, but then it'll stop. I guess on that respect, how do you kind of maybe juggle those lineups, but also getting the other parts more consistent as well? Because it seems like there are flashes.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like I said early in the year. We've had games 32 assists or 28 on 32 baskets and 29 on 33 baskets, and we were scoring at will. The ball was moving. It was really good. And then I think, all the different things you go through, try to tighten up our defense. We had some struggles at the point, and teams prepare for you differently as you get some games under your belt. They can see who can do this, who can do that, and I think they started preparing for us a little differently. The constant deal is keep the ball moving, and I don't think it's been a constant that we've done. I think even in that game, we did it in flashes, and then when you turn the ball over that much, because guys start trying to do stuff that they can't do. And that's one of the problems when you're playing a bunch of different guys. And I know it's easy for people to say just play one guy and stay with him. I'd love to do that. But I've got to do what kind of the guys dictate too, trying to hold everybody accountable, doing what they're supposed to do. Trying to look at, I got one guy that can shoot it, but he doesn't pass it real guy. I got one guy who can defend it, doesn't do this. I got a post guy who can step out but is not a great screener. You know, it's getting it all together, and that's where I say, even though we're not real young, we're young and experienced, and that's where I still think this offseason hurt us a little bit. But we are trying to get back to executing a little better. We think our spacing's got to be a little bit better than it has been. One thing that really has been kind of non-existent lately is our running. You know, we're not running the ball as well as we were earlier. Now, some of it is because you come off the COVID. Some of it is because we struggled to rebound it as well. We're keeping more guys in. But all those things, one of these days is going to click, and I think we still have a chance to make a little run.
There have been very few four-game losing streaks in your career, but it seems like historically looking back, those teams, I feel like I think I looked up we went on to win like 8 of their last 10, or their next 10 after that. I guess, how do you put together those streaks, or how were you able to previously?
Well, number one is we always had a couple of teams that weren't very good. And this year, you know, you're going to be, I don't know, pleasantly surprised, but Penn State is a very good team. You know, if they don't go through their thing early, I think they're in the upper echelon of the league. You know, they've got experience, they've got seniors, they've got very good guard play, and they got their roles very well defined because players have been in the system. So, you know, I think one of the things we had done over those years is when you have 3 or 4 teams at the bottom, you could play each one of them twice. That's already 8 wins that you'd know you have. You can't say that today, I guess, with Nebraska, just because they haven't won. You could take 2 if you play them twice. Other than that, I mean, we're talking about teams like Maryland or us or Penn State or Indiana, you know, that are on the bottom of the group that have beaten good teams or have competed against everybody. So I think, in all honesty, Chris, that's the problem right now is there's no games to make up. I mean, this week it's Penn State and Iowa. You know, Iowa's already all of a sudden lost, what, 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 5, some bizarre number, and they were everybody's preseason pick to be the best team in the league by far. You know, I watched them a little bit the other day. You know, are they wearing down a little bit? Who knows? And you don't know who COVID's going to hit and who's not. But there's one thing that I do know. Of all the years I've been in this would be a good question for Lindsay, but, you know, when you look at it from a psychological standpoint, of all the years that I've been in this, a confidence and having confidence and winning and that is never more evident than this year because of everything those kids are going through. So I think if you can win a game or two and get on a little bit of a streak, now your confidence goes up, you feel a little better. Maybe you're not in as indecision, and that's what I'm looking for. You know, the only thing I will tell all of you, because I know it's probably frustrating, especially since you can't come to practice. Practices haven't been off the charts, but there's not been many bad practices. I mean, guys are really focused in on what they got to do. I can't say it's the most confident group I've had, but practices have been pretty damn good, and that's always encouraging as you go through different streaks, winning and losing. I mean, losing for sure, but even winning, sometimes practices go down a little bit because guys get fat and sassy. Haven't had that problem, but the losing part of it we have had, and I haven't really felt that guys just came to get through practice.
Hey Tom, when you mentioned getting Joey back on track or getting him going, you mentioned something pretty interesting after the Ohio State game about how it was a mental battle for him. He felt like he wasn't shooting with confidence and hasn't been shooting with confidence since he didn't have any points against Nebraska. I mean, how do you get him going or help him in that area when he kind of knows that he's struggling and not shooting with the best confidence?
Well, I reminded him last night about what he did last year. You know, I mean, in practice every day he shot the ball. I think he wasn't looking for his shot. Now against Nebraska, he played 13 minutes. He had a foul every 2 minutes, so he was in and out, in and out. He didn't get in anything. I mean, he fouled out with a long time left to go in that game, and a couple of them were bizarre calls, and so I think that affected him too. But Joey's one of our best players. Players love him. I think he's gonna shoot better. We're gonna try to find a way, whether we have to get him the ball earlier or not put pressure on him. Either way, we're just gonna try to walk our way through it because I know what he's capable of doing, Audrey, and I know what I feel comfortable with him doing, and he can post up and he can do it on the perimeter. He's still a very good passer. But like everybody that goes through a slump, I mean, it was a month ago that, to be very honest with you, I don't know if Aaron Harris hit a shot in practice. You know, was really struggling. The last 3 weeks, you know, he shot the ball unbelievably in practice, and he shot it better in the game. So shooters go through it, goalies go through it, pitchers go through it. But what I have liked is, for the most part, he's continually played hard and rebounded pretty well. This last game, that was more the foul trouble that got him than anything. And what do you try to do? You just try to spend time, talk to him, show him film on times he's had success or what we think he's passing up shots. But he's a very unselfish kid. He's not here to just be a scorer, which 90% of the guys would rather score than anything. He's just not that way, and I've had to learn to adjust to that too.
And then I have to ask you about the Super Bowl last night. If you watched it and what you thought about Tom Brady being able to win his 7th Super Bowl title, especially with a new team in Tampa Bay.
You know, I did watch part of it, and like I told my players, I said, if you're not into football, just watch the pregame stuff and the postgame stuff, because I think, like I always say, that's where the game was won. And I'm more impressed with Tom Brady, the leader. If you watched him in the huddle late in the game, I mean, he was just screaming at his guys. I thought that was illegal now to do that, but and you watched him on the sidelines, and you watch the fact that here's a guy like Antonio Brown who everybody gave up on, and he kind of, you know, nurtured him along. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. Everybody, I think, in this day and age, wants you to give up on a guy who's been in trouble or had problems. And I think Tom Brady showed me more as a leader than almost anybody. I'm going to put this guy in there, but, you know, because I had him. I put a Mateen in there. I put a Magic in there because I know what those guys meant to the rest of their team. I love Larry Bird. I love Michael Jordan. But I don't know I think their play made them special. I'm not sure their ability to get people to do things. I mean, when you listen to those players talk about the summer when they're not even allowed in the facility or at a high school, or when you listen to him talk about when he walked into the locker room, you know, they didn't talk about his play on the floor or on the field. And that's what impressed me the most, you know. Everybody says, you know, he was the 6th round, 199th pick and this and that. I mean, I don't care if he's from Michigan. You got to love him for that, because it reminds all of us that went through tough times and maybe weren't as respected early that you just stay to it, you know. And I thought it was an interesting question I heard today, too. How does Bill Belichick feel today? And one of the former players said it best, I thought. He said he should be proud. He mentored him. He drafted him. He did all those things. Everybody will try to make it a Hatfield and McCoy's. I hope Brady doesn't, because the respect I gained for him just watching, I mean, throughout the years, yes, but to take a whole different team, and LeBron's done that a little bit, take a whole different team, get respect of the players, and be able to push those players in such a short period of COVID summer, I think just speaks why he's a 7-time champ and why he, you know, back when I played, the GOAT was the worst guy in the team, but now we know the GOAT is the best player in the world, and he might be the greatest athlete winner in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from Kyle Austin.
Hey, Tom, pretty high foul numbers for you guys these last 3 games. What are you seeing as far as the types of fouls when you look at the film, and how do you address that?
You know, they have been pretty high foul numbers, and I have looked at what we're doing, and I also looked at how they're being called. And I have struggled with that the last two games. I don't care who you are, 24-5 in free throws on a team that you're ahead of the whole game. Late in the game was something I questioned. I questioned it to the officials. I questioned it after watching film. And the Iowa game, you already know how I felt about that, so I haven't gotten into that. But we got to do a better job, and hopefully some of the things I'm seeing, other people got to do a better job. But the only thing I can control is what we do, so we got to do a better job and moving our feet and not fouling. I think a lot of them have been inside. Josh got a quirky foul, and that was his second, and that hurt us. But I think a lot of it was inside, and we are undersized at times, especially against some of these bigger teams. But yeah, it's a little bit of a concern, not as big a concern as the turnovers, to be honest.
Next, we'll go back to Chris Lord.
I wondered if you had any update on the two, the Indiana and Illinois games yet, if you heard anything of when they might get made up or still kind of in limbo with that.
You know, I haven't. There is getting to be preliminary talks now on whether we can. I think is it next week that we have a Tuesday or Thursday off? I really don't even know what our schedule is. As you can imagine, it's day to day for me. But I think it's next week, and they talked about throwing a game in there against Illinois, if that's possible, on would it be Tuesday night or Thursday night, whenever night we're not playing. So that means we could play, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but I'm expecting that. I'm still not ruling out back-to-back games. I just think that everybody agrees that everybody wants to get the games in. Everybody agrees it's not going to be an even playing field this year, and I totally agree that I'd rather play as many games as we can than have a break in between them. Just because at this time of the year, you don't practice as much. It's not easy to quick turnarounds. Those are difficult. I think for the most part, they'll be similar for everybody. And heaven forbid another team. I mean, remember now, Penn State got it kind of before the Big Ten. Nebraska and us have had it during. Michigan's situation is bad and yet good that nobody on their team has had it. It's just they're out. But we're looking at a lot of other teams. There's a lot of games right now. I saw with Louisville, and there's a lot of games being canceled again. And remember, at the end of football season, it was almost ridiculous. If one or two teams gets nailed now, that could change a lot of things, Chris. But that was one of the preliminary talks to try to look to put a game in on whatever day we're off there. And I, of course, said fine. And then I hate to say it, but I think the schedulers are trying to take it a week at a time, which sounds ridiculous, but I just don't know any other way they can do it. And I just said, hey, as far as I'm concerned, we'll play anybody, any place, anytime.
How has that been in terms of this season from a scouting standpoint for you guys as a staff?
Well, I did something when we got the COVID. I did something then. I had each assistant and my 4 guys and my video guys and my managers. I tried to get them to go through different teams. And so we have a semi-report on everybody. Now, some of those teams, one of them was Michigan. We might not play them till later. One of them was, I forgot who else. Was it Indiana? We play them later. So you're going to have to upgrade it and change it. But at least we have something down. We have some film on each one. And so in case we go Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we'll have a leg up. So we did that early. And then a couple long nights, I guess.
All right, it looks like that's all the questions we have today.
Thanks, guys. I don't know any more updates because I think Kithier right now is good to go. But, and make sure you understand, too, that, how taxing that is on my trainer, my doctors, and mostly on Thomas, since Saturday night, he's almost been assured to himself that he was, you know, he was going to be positive. And that's a drain on your brain, too. As I said, not as much on the kid's side about the virus, but on the kid's side about missing. Anybody that misses any time now is almost going to miss until the Big Ten tournament. You know, you get sick next week, you're out 17 days, it takes you a couple weeks to get back. You know, you're almost going to miss everything. So that part of it is very difficult for these kids. And I know for Thomas, it was just like, he was the guy I told you about a couple weeks ago. I walked into the bus and said, I'm safe, you know, and that was when I first started realizing that I mean, Matt Larson and I were talking about it today, you know, that he's on everyday testing now, and every day it's like, I still made it, you know, and I don't think you'd realize what that's like until you went through it, but it is a strain on you, and a lot of kids are going through it, and some handle it better than others. But we're set to go. We'll be ready to play tomorrow night. I think you're going to see Penn State is a very well-coached, a very veteran, tough, guard-oriented team with a post player that's getting the most offensive rebounds in the whole league. Thanks.